Hi, welcome back to the channel. I am back with another weekend vlog. I know that the last vlog that I put up was a little bit out of season, but I actually enjoyed watching back what I had done, so I thought I would just upload it anyway. But this vlog is going to be a lot more recent and a bit more in keeping with the season. So we are in current time. It is, I was going to say November, it's not November, it's October. So I wanted to pop on. So last night I went to a herbal tea workshop. So last night was a work night, was a school night, which is very unusual for me. I'm usually one of those people that finishes work and that's me home for the night. I don't want to leave my house. But I actually pushed myself to go out and do something, which was really good. It was in collaboration with 1057 and Tara's Herbal Tea, I want to say. I'll put everybody's details down below, but it was really good. We had some background about what you can use to make a tea, what kind of things make different elements of a tea and what kind of things work well together, medicinal purposes and that kind of thing. And then we had an opportunity to make our own tea, play around, come up with our own combinations. And then we also learned a bit about what type of teas go with which kind of desserts, which was fantastic. Really good selection. It was amazing. And then we had an opportunity to either remake the one that we had brewed there and tasted, take away with us, or we could obviously make a new batch based on what we did and didn't like about the one that we'd made and drunk on the night. So that was really good. It lasted a couple hours, so really worth going to. Not too long for, as I say, for a school night, but really enjoyed it. And today, because we have a retreat weekend coming up with Newton Farm in Forfar, I popped down there today to meet the animals. Highland cows, goats, donkeys, alpacas, pigs, peacock, lots of different animals there. So I went down there to catch some footage and also just to spend some time with the animals. I think I spent more time cuddling the animals and getting my animal therapy out of it than I did with filming. But it was a really great experience. I've come away with such a desire to have a goat. I just want a goat. I just love goats. I know lots of people resonate with different animals, but I think I've just found that mine is a goat. I just love the goats. So I've seriously come away and I'm analysing everything. I'm analysing what space I have. I don't have enough space. I know that I don't have enough space for a goat. So now I'm basically rethinking my whole life on how I can fit goats into my life. So I'm putting it out there. I'm putting it out there in this vlog because one day I will have some goats. And let's hope that it's not too far in the future because I just love the goats. There's not much more that's going to happen this evening, but I just wanted to jump on because I've captured different footage of me doing that, but I think it's important to come on and touch base and introduce the vlog. But tomorrow, what I'm thinking about doing is going back to Newton Farm because they are doing Halloween farm tours in the evening. I hadn't read the details properly, which is really bad of me. And I wasn't sure if it was for, it was for kids basically. But what I've learned today is it is for, yes, older kids, but also adults as well. And it's one of those experiences where you go around in the dark and you have a tour, but, things jump out and scare you and that kind of thing. And I remember I used to do Thought Park and go to their different experiences like that. I mean, obviously this one's going to be quite different because it's very sort of rural themed, which I love. Now that I've been there and I've heard what it's like, I'm quite hyped up to go actually. But I remember back in the days, I used to love going to Fort Park Fright Nights. It was like a yearly thing, would always go. While it was on, actually used to go a few times while Fright Nights was on. I might remember they did the Asylum, and it was a similar kind of experience when you did the London Bridge experience. There was a similar thing there where people jumped out and there was a guy with a chainsaw and things like that. So I always loved that kind of thing when I was younger. When I say younger, like a teenager, and I haven't done that kind of thing in years. So I'm saying definitely, highly likely that I'm going to go there tomorrow and do that. It will be dark, so how much how good the footage will be, I don't know, but I will try and capture some footage of that because I think that's going to be really fun. I was thinking about that actually. When I was younger, I really loved that kind of thrill-seeking stuff. I loved rides, I loved scary kind of experiences. And horror films don't really appeal to me anymore. Rides still do appeal to me, although probably more scared of heights now, slowly trying to kind of conquer that fear. I actually had no intentions before today of doing anything tomorrow, but that's what's inspired me to pick up the vlog camera actually, is because of that. Getting ready to go to the Haunted Harvest tour. It has been bucketing it down, so that's wonderful. But actually it sounds like it's just stopped. So fingers crossed that it will give us a gap tonight for us to enjoy this. So back home now, obviously, and it is quite some hours later. It is pitch black outside. I got back and just went into work mode for quite some hours, but as promised, I wanted to show you the bits that I mentioned. Was it last night I mentioned it, maybe? The things that I've picked up pre-loved. So everything here is pre-loved, and generally the sources will be either Vinted or charity shops. I'm not going to go through what charity shop each one came from, but for the majority they will be from Red Crosses. Those are probably the best two. We've got one in Forfar and we've got one in Kirriemuir, and they're both very good charity shops, and majority of my best finds tend to be from those two. There's also another really good one in Forfar, which is the Diabetes UK charity shop. That one is also really good. So those three are my top three, and pretty much where majority of this stuff would have come from. It's been a very long time, although it's only been days since my previous vlog where I showed you what I picked up from the small businesses. In fact, from then to here, from that Little Green Larder event, it's been probably about, well, it's October now, and that was filmed in May, so that was some time ago. So essentially what I'm trying to say is that all of this stuff wasn't picked up in one go. This is like dribs and drabs and things that I found over time. And it looks like a lot of stuff, but that's because there's a few thick jumpers in there, thick cardigans, and coat and artwork. So it looks like a lot of stuff, but it's actually not a lot of stuff. But anyway, enough of that. Let's get into the items. 3 cookbooks. Some of you might know or might have seen in one of my previous videos that I wanted to have sort of like a cookbook, not wall, not like a whole wall, but sort of like a row, a length of the countertop in the kitchen to be all cookbooks. And that's what I've been collecting them for. I have actually reached that, and it is a wall of cookbooks, but there still are a few that have been on my sort of wanting to find list, and there's a few in there that I probably will move on because I've bought them, don't use them very much, or I've tried quite a few recipes out of it which I don't like. So there's a few books in there that will move out and make space for these ones. So I got the Jamie Oliver 5-ingredient Mediterranean book. This wasn't on a wish list as such, but what I have found is I've got a few Jamie Oliver books and I do tend to like the recipes out of his book. So I wanted to try this one because it is, you know, 5 ingredients. Anything that's simple and doesn't require spending huge amounts of money, like cookbooks that have recipes that have got 20 different ingredients in it. That's great every now and then, but you know, cooking on a day-to-day basis, if you start trying to do your, you know, weekly shopping that way, is going to add up. So these kind of ones where it's less ingredients are really great. Then I also found the Eat Smart by Naomi Smart. So I've seen this book around a few times. I don't necessarily follow, I don't think I do follow Naomi Smart on social media, but this is one that people have raved about, and it still is in but it's still in a lot of shops at full price. Obviously this was second hand, I picked it up for a couple quid. Same with the Jamie Oliver. I think the Jamie Oliver one I got for £1. You find these kind of hardback recipe books for a price like that, it's definitely worth your while picking it up, especially like this one that's in the shops rather. Jamie Oliver book, it's not kind of claiming to be sort of like health food or anything like that, although we know that he's done the, you know, he did the campaign previously about good food and eating better and blah, blah, blah. Whereas the Naomi Smart book, I think that this is quite along the lines of sort of clean eating, fresh eating, that kind of thing. So definitely looking forward to trying a few recipes out of that. And I also would quite like to get back into reviewing cookbooks. I have a few that are relatively new. I haven't got it on me actually, but I recently also picked up the Madeline Olivia I think it's called Make It Vegan. I think that's the name of the book. I've tried one recipe out of it so far, which was fantastic, because I think that it's really helpful to get people's feedback on, you know, how easy is the book to use, what are the recipes actually like, because a pretty photo doesn't necessarily make a tasty meal. And the last one is the Madeline Shaw. Madeline Shaw, I've got 2 others of her book. Again, I think of each I've tried a couple of recipes out of them and they've been good so far, and I think this is the last cookbook. I think that would be the full collection of her cookbooks. And again, I found this one in a charity shop. No, tell a lie actually, I found this on eBay and I think it was about £2. So something that I just thought I'd throw in here, but I know a lot of people are very much into, like, and I myself am also into sort of like streaming platforms, but it's always quite frustrating when they do their changeovers and things get taken down. Obviously there's reasons and rhyme and reason to that, but sometimes you just really fancy watching something and it's not available on any of the platforms. So for that reason, some of my sort of like go-to feel-good movies that I like to watch again and again, because I'm that kind of person who will rewatch a movie again and again. I like to have DVDs in a house. I also think, you know, if there's times when your internet goes down, you know, it's good to have a DVD player and some DVDs to fall back on. 3 that I picked up, one was House Sitter, because this is a film that I remember watching again and again back in the days, but it's one actually that I have never come across on any streaming platforms. If you haven't seen it, fantastic film, so funny, brilliant film. The other one is Jane Eyre. Jane Eyre I've watched so many times. It's the newer one of Jane Eyre, which is my favourite one. I've watched a couple of the other ones, but I really like this movie, and it's one of those that I tend to go to Jane Eyre and Pride and Prejudice in the winter months for some reason, especially over, like, they're not Christmassy movies, but I like to watch Jane Eyre and Pride and Prejudice over Christmas. And I also found the first series of the Victoria ITV series. This pops on and off of streaming sites, but what I find is that they come on, I don't have a chance to finish them, they come off, by the time they come back on I don't remember where I've left off, and then I ended up watching the same episodes again and not actually making it very far in the series. So I just thought I would get the first series. It's only the first series because that's what I found in the charity shop again, and it was £1, so it was worth picking up. From what I've seen of the series, I really like it, and I like the Victoria movie with, oh gosh, what's her name? I can't remember, but there's a Victoria movie, and that's very good, not with Jenna Coleman. So now I will move on to clothing items. So basically, just a kind of preference. The way I approach secondhand clothing buying these days, I tend to buy things which I need for one, or I know that that's likely that I will wear it for, you know, for a long time. But I don't necessarily strictly buy seasonally. So if I see something that, you know, it's lighter fabric, it's not winter clothes or autumn clothes at this time of the year, I would still buy it if I really like it and I know that I will wear it later on, and vice versa. I will still pick them up if it's a good deal and I know that it's something that I'm going to wear in the long term. There might be a bit of a mix mash in here from what I can remember, but there are some bulky items that you can see. So one of my absolute favourite things that I picked up, I'm not doing the whole kind of trying on thing because I think at some point I'm going to do like a or redo like a styling secondhand fashion video at some point. But I found this huge chunky knit cardigan, full length, which I really love full length anything at the moment. Full length dresses, maxi skirts, long cardigans, long coats is very much, you know, what I like at the moment. So this is so thick, so cozy, and this is something that I found on Vinted, and it is a Zara piece. You can see brand new with the tags on, a really good price. Looks like it was £60 full price. I definitely did not pay £60. I think I paid maybe 12, and this is really gonna come in handy for me because I wear my long cardigans a lot. I often wear them as coats or in place of coats, so which is essentially what this is. It's like a cardigan coatigan kind of thing. So I get a lot of wear out of these and I love it. See, you can see I've just moved 2 items and the pile is getting down, so you can see it's not a lot of stuff. The other one that I found, it's also again another thick cardigan that I will use as kind of a coatigan, is this dog's tooth, black and white houndstooth, dog's tooth, whatever you want to call it, cardigan coatigan again, and it is not as long as the other one, but it's probably, you know, thigh length. And the brand I have never heard of before, but it says made in Italy, and it is Coco Gio, but it feels really nice quality. And this one was from one of the Red Crosses, and I think this was about £6. It's barely worn. It's a nice item, nice thick, cozy, and in excellent condition. So yeah, super long, very much up my street. I love a houndstooth, although I prefer brown houndstooth, but I never really used to be a handbaggy kind of person. I've always really been, for some reason I always lent more towards shoes than handbags. This one is sort of like a faux sort of sheepskin and the kind of leatherette handles, but this feels really sturdy, really good quality. I've already used it quite a few times, and this is a great bag for all year round. You could wear it really, but for sort of winter outfits, I think that would be really nice. This was, I think this cost me like £2.50 if I remember correctly. I think this might have been a new look bag. Not sure because I've taken the tags off because I already used it, but really handy bag. Again, something that will go with a lot of different things. Next up is a coat. This one is a black velvet, and this one has, if you can see, that black never really shows up well on the camera. It's got a nice kind of collar on it that's got sort of like a cushion detail around the edge and velvet buttons. This is, again, it's another full length item, really nice quality. This is very, very 90s in my opinion, and something which is really classic. I'm definitely in my kind of reliving the 90s phase when it comes to clothing. Really great find. This is one of the Marks and Spencer's brands, so Per Una, is that how you say it? And this was brand new, so this still had all the tags on it, and brand new, this was £120, and I got this one for just over £30. I had this on in the shop, and I wasn't actually sure because I like generally to get coats a little bit bigger, but this one I bought true to size and it fit really well. It's not the kind of coat that I could wear thick jumpers on underneath, but because it's velvet, it's pretty warm. I've just dragged the final clothing items beside me. I also found one of my obsessions this time of year is a jumper dress. I know that my mum's going to watch this and she's going to say that I definitely don't need another jumper dress, but I wear them all the time. I wear them most days throughout the autumn and winter. I used to be like a trousers girl, leggings, jeans, but for the last 2 years it's all been about jumper dresses, or just maxi dresses in general with a knit over the top, you know, like one of those big knitted jumpers over the top, or even like a sleeveless vest over the top. That's been my preference. So that's my justification. And my other justification was that this was £2.50, so, you know, worth it. After all that, it's a jumper dress, a grey jumper dress, full length, just a slight slit at the bottom and a detailed sort of ribbing type detail at the end, if that's what you call it, and again around the cuffs, and then it's got a nice kind of loose neck. This was originally from New Look, so not an expensive so not an expensive brand, but one which I've got a lot of nice jumper dresses. I do wear them, but I'm also conscious of over wearing them because I want them to last. Whereas one like this, if I was just going and running around, I probably would throw this on, whereas I might not throw on one of my nicer ones, if that makes sense. This is going to get a lot of wear in my wardrobe. The next item is a very practical one. I found a pair of Patagonia walking trousers. Walking trousers are a must if you are a dog walker in Scotland. Especially like me, I walk, you know, out in the country, I walk in long grass, I walk, you know, through quite hard terrain. So proper trousers are really, really important, and they get a lot of use all the way through, pretty much year round, because the weather can be quite unpredictable. Walking trousers are something that I'm always in need of. I've actually got a couple pairs which have ripped because, like I say, they get a lot of use. So I was needing a pair of walking trousers, so I found these Patagonia ones. I know that this is also a good brand, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, they do have a lot of sustainable elements. So pre-loved and also a good brand. And they also have, which I really like, they had the toggles at the bottom that you can tighten it up, which is again another good thing if you're walking in wet terrain and long grass, to try to keep it off of your socks, and actually just to keep you warm. They've got lots of zips, which I find really useful, because often what I find is when you've got a lot of layers on, especially jumpers and jackets and things like that, if you've got something on you like phone, keys, things like that, actually it's easy when you're reaching in your pocket for different things like dog bags, phone, things like that. Certain things can easily fall out, so the more pockets you've got, the better. I'm going out, you know, deep into the countryside, so if you lose something out there, you're not going to find it. So the more pockets the better, and especially zip pockets is something that's really needed. And I like that they've all got zips on them, every single pocket. I always find it really odd when you have these kind of walking trousers and they have just open pockets. It's a very kind of impractical thing for a practical piece of clothing wear. And those two last items, they were pretty cheap. So the rest that I've pointed out so far have been from Red Crosses. These last two were from the Diabetes UK charity shop in Forfar, which is one of the cheapest charity shops. So they generally have a lot of nice stuff, and it's generally very cheap. Trousers, even though it's a good label, they were not more than £5, which I think if in some other charity shops they would have been a lot more expensive. So that particular charity shop do keep their prices very, very reasonable. Next is another very practical item, but very, very pretty. So fleeces, again, are something that I live in through the winter. I find that jumpers and fleeces I would rather wear than a jacket, just because they're not as bulky. You tend to be able to move around a bit better. I generally like to have a fleece, maybe with a gilet over the top. I would rather have that than a big heavy jacket. And this one is really, really pretty. It's got the nice contrast of the cream, the green, and the sort of corally salmon colour, and it's one of the ones that zip all the way down, with again zip pockets. Fleeces, I never really understand why they always put the pouch pockets. fleeces, they're practical wear. Pouch pockets are not, they're not particularly practical. So this one is a very good find. And the brand was Damart, D-A Mart. Found this for about £4. So definitely worth it. You can see you can even see on camera, that's definitely hasn't been worn very much. The last two were Vinted. The only thing, I love Vinted, I do use Vinted, but one of the reasons that I prefer to find from charity shops is because of for the eco reason of, you know, the travelling of distances for items. That's number one. But the second thing is post and packaging and buyer insurance. You know, to make it worth that, I prefer to find a couple different items from a seller, so you have a few different things, but in some ways that encourages you to buy more, maybe buy things that you don't necessarily need, or you kind of persuade yourself that you do want it because you're trying to make the post and packaging more justifiable. But in this case, I did find a few items from one seller that I did want, and actually items that I was looking for. I found a pair of Gymshark shorts, and these were what I had added to the basket to make my shop more worthwhile, but something that I would genuinely want. So they are the cycling short length. I personally am not a fan of shorter shorts. It's just not my cup of tea. So cycling short length is just about right for me. I know that I like Gymshark. I have bought pre-loved Gymshark in the past. It's one fitness brand that I have never bought brand new actually, but because I have a few other items, I know what my size is in Gymshark, and I also know that they hold really well and they feel very comfortable. I generally go for the Gymshark 3/4 lengths, and I really like them. That's probably my preferred length, but I wanted to try the cycle shorts. This will be my first pair of their cycle shorts. They were very reasonably priced. I think they were about £3 or something like that. So definitely worth giving it a go. Next is a cord, and this is a cord that I liked when it was brand new in the shop. But the one thing, I've seen it on Vinted quite a number of times, but because it's a cord, what I've often found is that people are either selling the top or the bottom, and they weren't selling them together. But on this occasion, I actually found it for a reasonable price where the seller was selling both items together. In all, I think I got the set for about a £5, well worth it. So it is this kind of rusty colour, off the shoulder top, off the shoulder, but your arms still go through, so comfortable fit. The other thing about it is not cropped. These days, not really my thing. I prefer a longer length, which this one is. Seen it on lots of people in the past and really liked it. Been looking for this set for quite some time. So, and actually there are many people selling the full set on Vinted for about 30 quid. So to find both for about a £5. So with that, part of the cord was a maxi skirt, same colour, very minimal, not minimal, I would say that's probably like a knee length slit or knee length slit on me, with sort of like a ruching around the hips, which is a really nice flattering silhouette. Actually, on somebody as short as me, that could actually be also worn as a dress. It's been a long time since I've done any kind of haul, like clothing type hauls, and I just feel like I'm not describing this very well. I'm just not in the mindset to do the whole try on thing at the moment, so, but you will see them on at some other point on this channel. Really like that skirt. I said earlier, I'm into the whole maxi thing at the moment. This, because of the material, because it is actually thick, not t-shirt, it's like thicker than t-shirt material. It could still be worn in the colder months because it's quite warm and full length. Obviously, maybe with a cardigan over the top or something like that. That's a very versatile item. I'm actually losing my voice. The rest of the stuff is home stuff. And on the whole kind of eco-sustainable home type thing, some of these items are new, but I may or may not have said this before on my channel. I don't know about other British Red Cross charity shops. However, the ones in Kerrymuir and Forfar have for quite some time now been getting Zara sometimes Bershka, sometimes a few other different places, but Zara mainly, dead stock. Usually with this dead stock, either it's something which they had, as generally is with dead stock, that they couldn't sell it on basically. So what they've been doing is donating it to the British Red Cross, and they're able to sell it on for charity. Generally with the clothing items, there is some small issue with the clothing item. So it could be that it's missing a button, it could be that there's a pen mark on it, it could be that there's a slight fray in the fabric, there could be something, you know, there's a few different reasons that there could be something wrong with it. But because we have the homeware shop in Forfa, they have also been getting Zara home items. It's great. And what I've found, or what I haven't found rather, is any faults with those items. There may well be, but so far I haven't found any noticeable faults with the homeware stuff. Although I buy a lot of genuinely pre-loved homeware, and majority of the things in my home are pre-loved these days, it's nice to find some Zara items actually. Zara home does tend to be, you know, all right quality, and they tend to have some quite pretty pieces. So first thing I found was this cushion cover, which would look really nice in my bedroom. It's got this floral print on it. If you've seen the previous video that I did for the bedroom makeover, which has to be updated actually because a lot has happened in that room, you will know that these are very much on colour scheme for that room, and that would go really well. And what I've been looking for is a cushion cover that can sit in the centre of the bed so that the regular pillows can sit behind. I currently don't have any nice cushions that sit on my bed, so this is obviously just a pillowcase, but I was thinking about what would be the most sustainable way to do that, because what I'm trying to say is that I generally buy either local or pre-loved items, and I was thinking about perhaps getting a cushion made. It seemed like quite a lot of effort just for a central kind of pillow. And equally, if I then do find something that's nicer for the master bedroom, this can go into one of the spare bedrooms. Oh, actually also in this bag, which shouldn't be in this bag because it wasn't purchased, is my new pillowcases for this sofa. You might remember previously there was some sort of like creamy pillowcases with sort of like a light brown pattern on it. They were originally from Dunelm and they had been purchased brand new, but those cushion covers were just done. They've been here for 6 years. They were looking really worn out, and probably because of the colours as well, not the best colours for a country style house. But these ones I had recently made from they call it a wall shop, but it's a soft furnishing shop in the town centre because of birds. And the reason that I had these made is because you may have also heard me speaking about before or not, my sofa was ripped when Daphne was a puppy. She had a field day tearing apart the base of the sofa, and it had been sitting like that. Well, she was a puppy. She's now 5.5. So it's been sitting like that for quite a long time, but my sofa was relatively new at the time. So I definitely wasn't going to go and buy a new sofa. The way she had done it was really difficult to actually repair the fabric that was already there because of the way that she had torn it apart basically. So it's been sitting looking very shabby for a very long time, but what I decided to do was actually to repair the sofa. It was difficult to, this is a long story about a cushion basically, but it might be interesting based on that kind of sustainable home thing. So what I did actually is I just repaired the base of the sofa with this fabric and got cushions made in the same fabric, so it looks like it was meant to be that way. In sort of more like home updatey videos, I'll probably show you that and how it looks. And yeah, I also found these rattan style coasters. I do like the look of rattan coasters, but it's really important to pay attention to the ones that you buy, because if they are too moldable, they tend to kind of curl up and then you end up with a coaster that basically rocks around the place. So to replace the ones I had before that were just not doing the job, I actually found these ones. I wasn't intending to replace them, but these Rattan Zara coasters, this is Zara by the way as well, are much sturdier. They've got sort of like a wire almost. The rattan is wrapped over a wire, so it's much sturdier and they're not moving. So the other ones, they were, as I say, they bent, they kind of, but over time, because they got all misshapen, they just basically fell apart. A lot of cabinetry in this house that was there when I moved in that I had just basically given a facelift, but what really lets them down is the handles. There's some really kind of outdated handles around the house that need to be replaced. But you also, if you've had to replace handles in your home, the other thing that you will know is that for something so little and so subtle, they're not cheap actually. When I was in the Red Cross and I found that they had these two different types, Zara metal handles, brushed brass, they've got that kind of antique-y, already worn look to them. I was pretty pleased. So these are 2 packs of 2, which is all I need, but they will help me with the next phase of giving those cabinets a facelift. Another really practical find, maybe not that interesting but pretty nonetheless, is these tea towels. So there are a pack of 2 tea towels and all of mine are really worn out. I don't want to spend a lot of money on tea towels, but I also don't want ugly tea towels. So this was a nice find. Tea towels are expensive actually. Even when you're buying tea towels from places that you don't expect them to be expensive, tea towels are expensive these days. So even this, at a 50% off rate, was more than I wanted to spend. So for 2 tea towels was a £5. Because they were pretty and because I know that I needed them, they came home with me. The last items are more kind of decorative, but some really good finds. And all these ones are all just secondhand, pre-loved items. So I found this clock, and I'm very much into these kind of old-fashioned ladies in big dresses, in very picturesque, oldie worldy stuff. And I found this gold clock. Now this clock is it's really weighty. This is plastic, and in some ways, although that's not quality, in some ways it makes it a bit less delicate and a bit less of something to worry about. But I think that this glass has been replaced at some point. I think it was previously glass, because I can't see people putting plastic in such a good quality clock. And it's a Swiss made clock. I did stop and think, do I need another clock? But I just thought that was really, really pretty, and I felt like actually I would have regretted it if I left it behind. There's not really much to say about this, but I did also find this kind of paper mache looking duck. Doesn't say where it's from, have no idea where it's from. It was cheap and cheerful, but I just thought it was really cute. I am into sort of like that blue and white pattern. There's not a lot of it in my house, but there's bits of it sprinkled around the place. And I really liked this duck. It is actually an ambition of mine to one day have ducks. It's not in the near future, but it is an ambition. And I saw this and I thought it was pretty. When I say paper mache, you know, you can hear that. It is actually ceramic, but it's just got like a paper mache kind of look. Another weird and wacky item is this jug. This jug, again, was another really cheap item. I think it was like £2. You often see these types of jugs and they say made in Portugal or Italy, which I really like. I've got a few of these kind of fruit inspired items in my kitchen. I like them. I'm always looking for sort of like jugs and things that I can use as vases. It's not the time of year for it, but when I'm growing things in the garden and I want to make displays out of it, it's often nice to have these more shallow jugs and just to have different ones of different sizes. So I will make use of that. It's not anything particularly special. It doesn't have any marks on it or anything like that. But I just thought it was nice and kind of unusual. Got grapes on it, and I don't know what that's meant to be, whether that's meant to be. It looks like a pear, but it's pink. Doesn't really matter to me. Last but not least is artwork. I really like old-fashioned looking art, oldie worldy, inspired by nature, still life. There's quite a mixture around this house. They don't always necessarily, I feel, have to match or all have to be the same style. It's definitely a mix mash in this house. Like for an example, behind me I've got the Michelangelo hands, the creation of Adam, which is a really cheap one from IKEA back in the day. A really old-fashioned one in an antique frame facing it of equestrian art, and then I've got more sort of like a modern abstract piece above the fireplace. So it really is a mix mash, but somehow, in my opinion, it works together. It works for me. It kind of sums my style up, but the reason I'm saying that is because they're all very different. So the first one is this little, and you can see actually the price on it was £2.95. I don't think that's paint. I think that's hand drawn. The name is not coming to my head. Funnily enough, these bigger ones are ones that I've fallen in love with this year and really want to incorporate in my garden. So when I saw that, I thought, yeah. Oh, actually, it's got this on the back, which it says the Salon Gallery, Gosport Street, Lymington. So somebody had actually originally bought this in a gallery. So that's a nice piece, and definitely well worth, you know, a few pounds. That will, I think, will either go in my master bedroom or maybe one of the spare rooms. I don't think it will go in the kitchen. I think the kitchen it's got more than enough art on it in it just now. And then something which is completely different is this. Oh, what happened to this? Oh no, that's annoying. This is a hand painted silk piece of artwork. It did have, and is somewhere upstairs, the little sticker on there that said hand painted on silk. It is a horse in this very kind of basic gold frame, but this I just loved it. And I think this one was also really cheap. I think I got this for something like £3 for hand painted on silk. That's definitely worth it, and just something a bit different. I really am into equestrian style art at the moment, and that obviously you couldn't call it equestrian style, but I was just drawn to it because I am liking imagery with like horses and things like that at the moment. And actually, it'll be hard to see on camera. Up close and in person, you can really see the quality on it. This actually, it really reminds me of, it's obviously not done that way, but it really reminds me of the do you remember the sparkly gel pens that we all had growing up? I had lots of them, and these were the colours that I always kind of used. And I remember in colouring books, so the gel pen, they were meant for writing, the gel pens, but they weren't particularly good for writing because they would always smudge. But because I loved them, I remember that my sister and I actually used to use those sparkly gel pens in colouring books rather than felt tips or pencils. We used to use the gel pens. So it looks like something, well, that's really far-fetched. I was going to say it looks like something that we could have created, but no, definitely doesn't look like something we could have created. I think that's why I was drawn to it, because it actually just reminded me of that. Last two are a pair of oil paintings. So these are the two in this kind of linen mount. You can see that this is two still life fruit drawings with some florals in there in this kind of bronzy frames. And I think for the two, I paid something really nominal, like £6 for the two. Is unbelievable actually, considering that is oil. So unbelievable that I managed to find them a pair together. And I'm actually thinking that these definitely could. I've got something else in the kitchen above my fridge, but I'm thinking it might actually be swapped out for these, because I think that this would probably be a bit more, these would probably be a bit more fitting in the kitchen. And the other reason is the one that I've got up there at the moment is a watercolour. I've got quite big windows in my kitchen basically. Although at the moment the artwork is fine, you do have to be careful with anything other than oil getting sunlight on it, because it will discolour. Whereas oil, I might be completely off, but from what I remember that I've kind of learnt is that oil can withstand the sunlight and can be positioned closer to windows. Now they won't be in direct sunlight, but I think that they might just actually be a safer piece for the kitchen actually, whereas other rooms in my house don't get as much direct sunlight. I've actually found it with, which you wouldn't think, I've actually got a big piece above my stair, which is, it's not wood, but it looks like it's like a printed on a big wooden canvas, or 3 big wooden canvas, and it's an atlas piece. And all I've got in my upstairs hallway is a skylight, and even just that skylight has reflected onto that piece of artwork, and I've got speckles which have discoloured on it, which is a shame, but it just goes to show that you really do need to think about where you're putting your artwork and how the light might shine on it and how it might get ruined. Luckily that wasn't it's not an antique piece or anything like that. It still is a really nice piece, and it's a shame that it's slightly damaged. Doesn't matter, it's still going to stay there, it's not that noticeable, but it's something that I've noticed, and over time it might get ruined. I'm hoping this video will go up on Monday. If it does go up on Monday or Tuesday at the latest, if it does go up, I highly recommend the Newton Farm Harvest Horror Tour that we went to last night. It was fantastic. It was really a good experience, not too expensive, and I think it's quite a good thing. So if you've got older children, teenagers, it's quite a good activity to do with them, because I think a lot of Halloweeny activities are aimed at smaller children and parents taking their smaller children, whereas actually this one is more suitable for older children and finding something for them to do, or teenagers, or even adults. So I would highly recommend it. And the reason I'm not hoping that this video goes up on either Monday or Tuesday, because if it does, there's still tours Monday evening, Tuesday evening, Wednesday and Thursday, so there's still tours that you can go on. I obviously couldn't capture that much footage of the actual tour because it's in the dark, you know, you don't want to be shining your camera and things like that, and the light on your camera, and plus the footage wouldn't be that great anyway, but I did capture a few clips, as you might have seen. And on that note, I will end the vlog there, and I will see you next time.